another grandpa story. This story is called A Noise in the Night. When I was little, just as little as you are now, we lived in a wooden house. It was made of wood. It was at the top of a hill, and in that house, Mother had many chicken. In fact, she had so many chicken that Mother asked Father to build a house for them. What do you call a chicken house? No, not a chicken house. It's called a chicken coop. Every day, when the sun was about to set, my mother would call out to her chicken. You know, she spoke to them, and when I looked at them, they seemed to understand what she said. So she would call out to them, and the chicken would come to the door of the coop, and Mother would feed them grains. There was a water trough nearby. A water trough is a long container filled with water, and she would say to the chicken, all right, have your grains and go drink your water. And the chicken would go to the troughs, put their little yellow beaks into the water, lift up their heads, and they would swallow it. When they were ready to retire to bed, Mother would say to them, all right, you can now get into the coop. Get inside, inside, she would sing. Inside the coop, there were many shelves. There were flat planks on the walls of the coop, something like these shelves at the back here. Can you see? Do you remember the bookshelves in your house library? They were like that. Now libraries have books sitting on the shelves. In our coop, chicken sat on the shelves. The chicken would walk up a tiny little step, and they would hop onto the shelves, make funny crooning noises like krrr, krrr, and settle down for the night. And when they were ready, they would go to sleep. And when they were sleeping, they made funny breathing sounds. So I asked Mother one night, why don't you put the chicken on the floor? Why do they have to sleep on the shelves? Mother said, well, that's where they'd be safe. We soon found out why. One night, I think it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, we heard a loud noise. It was the sound of the chicken. They were screeching. They were screaming. That sound woke up the whole house. We could hear them flying into the wooden walls of the coop. It made loud thumping sounds. They were afraid. They sounded very startled. Turning on the light, my father told me, son, go get the torchlight. He then picked up a staff. A staff is a long stick. It was as thick as my arm and it was very long. Father then opened the kitchen door and it was very dark outside. But Father was very brave. He went out into the night. And I gave him the torch, and the torch, he turned it on. It put out a yellow light in the darkness. Mother was with me, as was my sister. We made our way into the coop. Father went first. He opened the coop door, he took the torchlight, and he shone it inside. And in the yellow light of the torchlight, we could see all the chickens flying from shelf to shelf. There were feathers in the air, and they were all afraid and terrified. We wondered why. Father took his torchlight and he shone it all over the coop. And then we found out why the chicken were panicking. At the bottom of the coop, on the floor, was a snake. It was all coiled up. Its skin was shining yellow. It had red and brown and yellow patterns on its back. Its belly was white. It had a large head, a big one, exactly like a piece of cake. It had 2 gleaming black eyes on the sides. It raised up its head from the floor as high as my father's knee. And it was turning its head this way and that. Whenever a chicken flew past it, it opened its mouth. It lunged at the chicken. And every time it lunged, the chicken flew and there were feathers flying everywhere. Luckily for the chicken, the snake had not caught any of them. But it was trying to. It was lunging in this direction and that direction, and every time it moved, it would uncoil its body, and its body was as thick as your thighs. Ah, said father, a python. So I didn't know a snake like that was called a python. You must ask your mummy and your daddy to show you what a python is. He then turned to us children and said, don't be afraid. He said, move aside, leave some space for the snake to go away. He took this big stick he had and he pointed it at the snake and he said, go away, don't frighten the chicken, go home now, off you go, off you go. And he turned to my mother and he said, the python must be hungry, that's why it came in here and it must have frightened the chicken. After my father prodded it a few times, the python slid past. It took a long time. You know why? It had a long body, and as it went out, we could see its little tail disappearing into the bushes. We never saw the snake again. And then the chicken was still panicking, and mother spoke to them and said, all right, settle down now, calm down. The snake has gone away, it won't come back again. We would lock the door. Now I need you to go to sleep. Stop panicking. There, now calm down, calm down. Sometimes when you cry, your mommy speaks to you or your daddy speaks to you. That's how my mother was speaking to the chicken. When they were all a little calmer and clucking away and crooning and going my father turned off the light. We came back into the house. We turned off the house light, turned off the torch light, and we all went to sleep. And the next day when we woke up, we were asking Mom, can we go to the coop? Can we see if the chicken had gone? My mother said, yeah, why not? All the chicken are out there roaming in the garden, and I think, the snake has gone away. It won't come back again. And that, my beloved little children, is the story of the sound in the night. So that's it then for today. I have other stories, things that really happened in my life, and I'll come back to you with those stories. And this is Grandpa GK from GK TV. Bye.